One of the biggest problems that I see when students are sparring, and this even actually goes down to at least amateur competition, you may not see it as much in the pros, but people are so insistent on this kind of artificial idea of like fair play or something, or maybe it's the games that we play growing up, but they're so focused on like taking turns, and it's not good fighting. You can't go, well, okay, you hit me and I'm going to hit you and then you hit me and one of us will eventually fall down. That's not how this works, and that's not the goal of what we're doing, right? And that is not by definition what fair play is, right? Fair play is establishing a set of criteria for success and failure and boundaries, lines not to cross, and then working within those. That's what fair play is. And so the very concept of trying to somehow like go tit for tat with somebody is just it's a bad idea. And one of the things that feeds into this too is oftentimes you will see somebody. We see this more in mixed martial arts because of the broad range of tactics that it allows, but it can certainly happen elsewhere. And one of the big things that we see is, two people will come in there and fight, and one guy is like, well, I'm going to try to beat him at his own game. Why? What is the purpose of that? So potentially ego, self-satisfaction, of I want to prove that I'm better than this guy. Okay, I mean, I guess that's what sport competition is kind of about. So if that's how you want to do it, go for it. I certainly hope that you've trained that to be better than the other guy, because just wishing it to be isn't going to be true. And then the other side of it is, again, this kind of misplaced sense of fair play. Like, oh, but if this guy is a grappler, then I can't just punch him because, well, if I punch him, then I'm not beating him on his own terms, and that's not fair, whatever. And I'm not saying that people are consciously thinking these things. I'm saying this is what comes across. One of the things that you will see a lot of is, and again, this is very MMA specific, as soon as the fight becomes a grappling match, it's like striking goes away. I mean, it doesn't. You do see some striking while they're bound together, definitely on the ground. But quite often what you end up seeing is that as soon as people start grappling, they both start grappling. It's like there's a switch that flips in the brain and goes, oh, we're playing that basic human dominance game of, put the other guy down and be the one on top. And it's just like that just is so pervasive in people, this idea that you have to play the same game as them. You have to, you have to take turns. You have to play their same game. You have to beat them at their own game. And maybe some of that is hardwired, right? Like I said, it is the human dominance game to do that thing, right? You meet on equal terms and you play the same game, and then you just go do the thing. But it's not what mixed martial arts is about. That's certainly not what street fighting is trying to do. That it's like a fight is a fight, and the whole concept of fighting is, well, winning the conflict. And so, if you have agreed to a big broad rule set that allows a big broad set of tactics, then you can absolutely use the tactics that aren't being used by your opponent. There is nothing that says you have to wait for the other guy to hit you before you hit him. And there is nothing that says that if he tries to grapple with you, you have to grapple him back. When you start looking at how fights operate on a mechanical level versus how people think about them psychologically, there's a huge, huge separation in what's available and what's actually being done. And so we have to be careful about this concept of fair play, and that's really what we're talking about here, is that the only thing that constitutes fair play is abiding by any prearranged agreement prior to the conflict. Once the conflict is on, that's it. And provided you are not breaking the rules of that agreement, you're playing fair. So if you want more equitable rules, then create a new rule set, right? If you don't like the way the rules are because you think it allows for too much exploitation, then create a new rule set. If you don't like certain aspects of those prearranged agreements, then create a new rule set. Like, we can go on and on and on with this, but what it really comes down to is if two fighters agreed to play under the same rules and one is using the extent of the rules and another is using a very narrow definition of the rules, well, the guy in the narrow is handicapping himself voluntarily, and that is not the other guy's fault, and it doesn't make the other guy playing unfair, right? In class, we often, I tell my students all the time, right? If you're playing Chisao, you can kick. Now, is kicking a good idea in Chisao? Theoretically, no. You should be able to control the guy. But as soon as somebody kicks, invariably, somebody will always say, oh, that's not fair. Well, who said it's not fair? It's a part of the system. I told you guys you could do that. You don't need to handshake. And, same thing in the kickboxing classes, right? Kickboxing is always accompanied by takedowns. We are not doing IKF, K1, whatever. We are going that full range, London prize ring, old school bare knuckle savate, Sanda Sanshu, Lei Tai. We're doing the old school stuff, which basically means as long as you're standing, the fight is on. And that includes stand-up grappling. So be it. But again, some people will be like, that's cheating. No, it's not. No, it is not, right? You don't get to misunderstand the rules or not read the rules and then cry foul play. And the fact is that fair play is an artificial thing anyway. But if we're going to define it, we define fair play by the fact that the rules are prearranged and all involved parties agree to them. And as long as you're staying within those bounds, it's fair play. So don't wait to take turns. Don't try to play the other guy's game. Use the rules to your advantage. And if you don't like the rules, come up with new ones. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, give the dog a bone. You can follow us on our other social media accounts, and if you really like us, you can head over to Amazon and buy a shirt. You can also go over to Gumroad and purchase some of our instructional courses. All of the links will be provided and also on our website. If you happen to be in the Phoenix area, we would love to meet you. Come drop in for a class, even just to chat. And if you're looking for a new home, we would be happy to have you. So until next time, good journey.